The light from his phone glinted off the rim of the glass just as Noah was about to take a drink. Ethan's name flashed across the screen, and his hand jolted, splashing cold gin down the front of his shirt. He fumbled with the phone, his mind chanting a single, desperate prayer. Please don't be about a job. As the heir to a fortune, Noah lived a life that could have been ripped from a cliché movie script, complete with a circle of 6 obsessively successful, workaholic friends. Ethan was the most formidable of the bunch, a titan of industry who seemed personally offended by Noah's leisurely existence. His attempts to impose a work ethic on Noah were so aggressive they even made Noah's father nervous, who once theorized that Ethan was trying to bankrupt their family company through Noah's incompetence just to eliminate a competitor. The call couldn't be ignored. Noah scrambled out of the noisy downtown bar and onto the street, pressing the phone to his ear and injecting false cheer into his voice. Ethan's response was a low hum of acknowledgement, followed by the flatly stated observation that Noah was, yet again, in a bar. Noah let out a nervous laugh, confirming he was just out for a couple of drinks and impulsively asking if Ethan wanted to join. The rejection was expected. What wasn't expected was the command that followed. Ethan told him to come to him instead. When he named the place, it was another bar, a sleek cocktail lounge on the Upper East Side. A change of venue was meaningless to Noah, but an unsolicited invitation from Ethan was a rare event. He agreed instantly, already turning toward the valet stand. A sixth sense must have alerted Ethan, whose voice came through the speaker, dry and knowing, asking if he was planning on driving drunk. Noah, undeterred, insisted he hadn't had a sip yet, cring Ethan's perfectly timed call. He called it fate. Ethan ignored the joke, his tone shifting slightly as he explained the reason for the summons. He wanted to introduce Noah to his boyfriend. The words slammed the brakes on Noah's brain. Ethan, with a boyfriend? Felt impossible. Just last week, the group had been teasing him about his perpetual singledom, and he brushed it off, claiming he wasn't in a hurry. Now, love had apparently struck like a hurricane. Ethan was about to hang up, but Noah, fumbling with his keys and starting the car, shouted into the phone, begging him to wait. He fired off a volley of questions about this mysterious partner, peppering the interrogation with exclamations about how well Ethan had kept his secret. A faint chuckle came from Ethan's end, tinged with something Noah couldn't quite decipher. Ethan wondered why he was so worked up over his relationship status. Noah, expertly maneuvering his sports car out of the tight parking spot, declared that of course he was excited. He was desperate to meet the person who had finally captured the group's last remaining bachelor. He chattered on, asking about the boyfriend's personality and whether the rest of their friends would be there. A few seconds of charged silence passed before Ethan's voice returned, tight and strained. He'd find out when he arrived. Then the line went dead. Noah clicked his tongue. He couldn't imagine how anyone put up with Ethan's moody, monosyllabic temperament. When he arrived, the private room was vast and shadowy, occupied by only 2 figures. Ethan was seated at the far left end of a long leather booth. On the absolute opposite end sat a handsome, nervous-looking young man. Noah raised an eyebrow at Ethan, his gaze sweeping the empty expanse between them as he asked where the guest of honor was. In the dim, shifting light of the lounge, it was hard to read Ethan's expression, but Noah caught the intense gleam of his dark eyes fixed on him. Ethan's gaze dropped, and he gestured vaguely to his right. The young man sat up straighter and gave a tentative wave, murmuring that he was likely the one Noah was looking for. Noah's eyes darted between them, a smirk playing on his lips. He wondered if they had left the chasm of space in the middle for him to perform a magic show. Noticing the poor guy's increasing discomfort, Noah beamed and strode forward, his hand outstretched. He exclaimed how wonderful it was to finally meet him. The young man shot to his feet, clasping Noah's hand with both of his own and bowing his head slightly in a gesture of flustered politeness. Noah, still chattering warmly, guided the man across the booth and firmly planted him in the seat right next to Ethan. He told them not to be shy. They were a couple after all. For some reason, this only seemed to make Ethan's face grow colder and the boyfriend's paler. In a strange way, Noah thought they almost matched. He was about to sit down next to the new boyfriend when Ethan's hand shot out, his fingers wrapping around Noah's wrist. He steered Noah around the table to a small armchair on his other side, indicating he should sit there. It took Noah a second to process. He wasn't allowed to sit next to the boyfriend. He understood completely. It was that classic over-the-top CEO possessiveness. Amused, Noah settled into the chair and initiated a conversation across Ethan. He asked why they hadn't ordered drinks and what the boyfriend would like. The young man stammered that he couldn't really drink. Noah waved it off, suggesting Ethan could drive him home since he never drank. To his surprise, Ethan, who he'd expected to remain silent, spoke up, his voice low. He would be drinking tonight. His partner immediately backpedaled, insisting he would be the one to drive Ethan home. This, Noah thought with an internal nod of approval, felt more like a real couple. He ordered 2 drinks and leaned forward, studying the young man. He asked his age, observing that he looked even younger than him. The answer was 23, the same as Noah. He then asked how they had met. The man's hands twisted in his lap. He responded with a strange, deflective question, asking Noah how he thought they should have met. Noah narrowed his eyes. It was a peculiar way to make conversation. Maybe it was just the dim lighting, but he could have sworn the guy was inching further and further away from Ethan. Noah turned his attention to his friend, prodding him to say something. Had finding love rendered him speechless? Ethan finally moved, pulling a cigarette from his jacket. He didn't light it, just rolled it between his fingers as his eyes landed on Noah's chest. He pointed out that Noah's shirt was wet. Noah glanced down, unfastening the top 2 buttons of his shirt to let the fabric air out. He explained that he'd spilled a drink. When he looked back up, he saw the cigarette in Ethan's hand had been snapped in 2. Ethan tossed the pieces onto the table, his voice a low growl. He asked who Noah had been drinking with. Noah, unsure how the topic had veered so far off course, mentioned it was a couple of friends he'd met a few days ago. Ethan just grunted in response and fell back into silence. This was getting ridiculous. Noah had met the partners of his 5 other friends, and none of those introductions had been this painfully awkward. Ethan wasn't usually this quiet. Just as Noah was about to call out the boyfriend, who had nearly retreated into the corner of the booth, their drinks arrived. Ethan picked up his glass and downed it in one go. Deciding to ignore his friend's bizarre mood, Noah focused on making the guest comfortable. He had a whole arsenal of conversation starters from his experience charming his friends' partners. Gradually, the young man relaxed, his shoulders loosening as he listened, and eventually, a small smile graced his lips. Noah smiled back, suggesting they exchange numbers. He explained that he was in a group chat with the other partners and they all hung out often. As the only unemployed one in their circle, he was usually the designated social coordinator, taking the partners out while his friends were busy working. It was a perfect system. His friends made the money, and he and their partners spent it. The young man didn't agree immediately, his eyes flickering toward Ethan. Ethan, without turning his head, threw back another drink. Noah gently blocked the boyfriend's line of sight, telling him not to be so bashful. After a moment of hesitation, they added each other as contacts. Noah took a sip of his own drink and continued to chat, his tone becoming more playful. The boyfriend was finally laughing, a genuine, relieved sound. Noah felt a sense of accomplishment until he looked up and met Ethan's heavy, simmering gaze. He processed the look for a moment. Oh, he's jealous. I get it. A part of him was pleased. This was more like it. A possessive tycoon in love was a predictable, even comforting trope. Just as he was about to make a teasing comment, he found himself pinned against the armchair. Ethan's face was inches from his dark eyes boring into him. The hand on his shoulder was gripping him so tightly it hurt. Ethan's eyes closed for a second, a look of profound pain crossing his features. His voice was a raw whisper. You've never tried that hard to make me laugh. Noah's eyes widened in shock. His boyfriend was sitting right there. He looked frantically toward the booth, trying to catch the other man's eye, to get him to say something, to intervene. But the boyfriend was stealthily creeping toward the door. When Noah called out his name, the man froze mid-crouch, then slowly turned, his expression one of pure panic. He stammered that he hadn't seen a thing and that they should just continue. Something was definitely wrong here. Ethan turned his head, his voice like ice as he ordered the man to get out. Noah was stunned. He used his leverage to push Ethan away and scrambled to his feet. He demanded to know what was wrong with him, insisting that was no way to speak to his partner. He grabbed the retreating man's arm, telling him not to leave, not to let Ethan treat him like that. His head was starting to ache. Ethan's face was a cold mask. His hand closed over Noah's, where it was still gripping the other man's wrist. Noah tried to pull away, but Ethan's grip tightened, his knuckles digging into his skin. Noah hissed in pain, and Ethan instantly let go. He looked down, a long sigh escaping him. He's not my boyfriend. Ethan nodded toward the bewildered man. You can go. I'll double your bonus. The most genuine smile of the night spread across the man's face. He thanked Ethan profusely, introduced himself as Leo, and practically fled the room, carefully closing the door behind him. Noah shut his eyes, the headache now a full-blown throb. He pinched the bridge of his nose. A moment later, a warm hand covered his, gently massaging the tension from his brow. He opened his eyes to see Ethan looking down at him, his expression unreadable. Before Noah could demand an explanation, Ethan's hand moved from his brow to the corner of his eye, his thumb stroking the skin there. His voice was soft. You see, I was right. Noah instinctively closed his eyes at the soothing touch. You're always overlooking me. You didn't even seem to see me tonight. Yet you defended him, a man you just met. Noah's eyes flew open. He stared at the impossibly sad expression on Ethan's face. He insisted he was just being impartial. He grabbed Ethan's hand, pushed him back onto the booth, and stood over him with his arms crossed. How do I overlook you? Ethan was sprawled on the leather, one leg bent, looking up at him through hooded eyes. Even sitting down, he radiated an intimidating aura. But it didn't work on Noah. Explain, Noah demanded, tapping his foot. You said you were introducing me to your boyfriend. What was all that about? After a few moments of silence, Ethan sat up, grabbed a glass, and drained it. I lied to you. The alcohol seemed to have softened his features, making his cool tone sound almost pathetic. I just wanted to see your reaction. Noah was completely lost. He couldn't imagine what kind of reaction Ethan had been hoping for, other than happiness for his friend. Ethan's voice dropped lower. I didn't want you to be happy. He reached out, pulling Noah down to sit beside him. He didn't release Noah's hand, just held it, his thumb tracing idle patterns over his skin. Noah tried to pull away, but Ethan's grip was firm. Noah confessed his confusion, asking what Ethan meant. Ethan's gaze was intense. He stated that Noah had many friends and was good to all of them, but his warmth never quite extended to him. Noah loudly protested that he treated everyone the same. A humorless smile touched Ethan's lips. He recounted instances: Noah staying up all night with Liam after a bad day, spending 2 weeks with another friend after a breakup. He noted how easily Noah chatted with everyone in their group, how he even charmed all their partners. "You're good to everyone," Ethan repeated, his voice dropping to a murmur right beside Noah's ear. "But you never see me." A strange note of vulnerability crept into his voice. "But you're the only one I truly care about." Noah was speechless. Ethan's head lowered, his forehead brushing against Noah's chin. He admitted he knew Noah avoided his calls, assuming it was always about work. He confessed he didn't know how to connect with him, how he used work as an excuse to talk to him. He reminded Noah that he'd had no real friends before meeting him in college. The words tumbled out, a quiet, desperate apology for the lie, explaining it was just a pretext to get Noah's attention, to make him care. Ethan's voice faded, and his head started to slip from Noah's shoulder. Noah quickly steadied him, his own body rigid as he tried to provide a comfortable support. A dull ache spread through his chest. Ethan had always been reserved, but he had also always been incredibly good to him. Since they'd met, Ethan had almost never said no to him. The more Noah thought about it, the more he felt like a monster. He looked down at the top of Ethan's head, a wave of protectiveness washing over him. He gently stroked his hair. "You're my best friend, too," he whispered. It was because they were so close that he'd taken him for granted. He wrapped an arm around Ethan's shoulders, pulling him into a clumsy hug. "I'm sorry," he promised. "From now on, I'll be the most enthusiastic with you." Ethan wasn't asleep. He lifted his head, his eyes bright. He shifted, pressing Noah back against the couch. One hand braced on the cushions, the other on Noah's waist. A rare, boyish delight lit up his face. Really? Noah had never seen an expression like that on Ethan before, like a child who'd just been given candy. The ache in his heart intensified. He nodded fiercely. "Really?" Ethan smiled and buried his face in the crook of Noah's neck. It belatedly occurred to Noah that Ethan was a very clingy drunk. A muffled voice asked if Noah could take him home. Noah was about to call for a car service when Ethan lifted his head again, his eyes pleading. He asked if Noah could stay with him tonight, just like he had for their heartbroken friend, Liam. Noah didn't hesitate. Of course. A brilliant smile transformed Ethan's face. "Noah, you're the best." Noah's ears burned. He felt a little drunk himself, his limbs heavy and pliant. After maneuvering the surprisingly heavy man into his penthouse and onto the bed, Noah collapsed beside him, muttering about his weight. Ethan, eyes still closed, rolled onto his side, the movement exposing a strip of toned muscle. Abdominals Noah definitely didn't have. He decided not to dwell on it and closed his eyes. The next morning, he woke up alone. Wrinkling his nose at the stale smell of alcohol on his clothes, he went in search of something clean to wear. As he walked toward the kitchen, he wondered if Ethan would remember any of his drunken confessions. The memory of those vulnerable eyes and the constant, needy proximity made him pause. A voice from the dining area broke his train of thought. Ethan, already showered and dressed in a sharp suit, asked if he was awake. He looked completely back to his usual composed self. There was no trace of last night's pathetic vulnerability. Noah was about to ask him about it, but the smell of his own clothes distracted him. He changed the subject, asking if he could borrow some clothes for a shower. Ethan nodded toward the master bedroom, informing him that there were new, unopened boxers in the bottom drawer of the dresser. As Noah turned to leave, Ethan added, his voice flat but with a glint in his eye, "But they're my size." Noah stopped and slowly turned back. He saw the smirk playing at the corners of Ethan's mouth. His brain, still foggy from sleep, finally caught up. He lunged, aiming a playful kick, but Ethan sidestepped neatly, chiding him for roughhousing at the breakfast table. After his shower, Noah found Ethan still waiting. He glanced at the time, surprised he wasn't at work. Ethan rose from the table, his movements fluid. He was going to work, he said, but first he would drive Noah home. The entire drive was conducted in near silence. Ethan was once again the aloof tycoon, working on a tablet with gold-rimmed glasses perched on his nose, giving no indication that he remembered their conversation. Sitting in the back seat, Noah felt a strange pang of disappointment. He almost missed the clingy, drunken Ethan. When they reached his building, Noah got out and waved. As the tinted window slid down, Ethan's dark eyes met his, intense and unreadable behind the lenses. "Noah," he said, his voice low, "don't forget what you said last night." Noah froze. Ethan gave a curt nod, and the window slid back up. It wasn't until the car's exhaust washed over him that Noah's mind caught up. Ethan remembered everything. A slow smile spread across his face. The image of the stoic Ethan, expressionlessly reminding him of his promise to be enthusiastic, was cute. He shook his head, banishing the thought. Cute was not a word one associated with Ethan. Back in his apartment, after changing clothes, Noah found himself at a loss. He was usually still asleep at this hour. He tossed his phone in the air, then grabbed a random car key from a drawer. If he had nothing to do, he might as well go deliver on his promise. At Ethan's company, the receptionist politely asked if he had an appointment. He hadn't been there in ages, and she didn't recognize him. He smiled and pulled out his phone, dialing Ethan. The call was answered almost immediately. The sound of Ethan's voice made him want to laugh. He explained his situation, and after a brief pause, Ethan said he would send someone down. A few minutes later, a familiar voice called his name. Noah turned to see Leo, the fake boyfriend from the other night. The man, whose real name was Mr. Williams, offered an awkward smile, explaining that he was Mr. Stone's assistant. Noah nodded, nearly letting a teasing name slip, but caught himself. Mr. Williams' smile grew even more strained. Noah patted his shoulder sympathetically, telling him he'd worked hard. The assistant's expression screamed that his life was hard. Upstairs, he waved Mr. Williams away and entered Ethan's office. Ethan looked up from his work, the frown lines on his forehead smoothing out. "You came," he said, a hint of a smile in his voice. Noah leaned against the doorframe, a teasing glint in his eye. Here to be enthusiastic as promised. He expected some sign of embarrassment, but Ethan just nodded, a deep satisfaction in his eyes. "I'm honored." Just then, another assistant knocked and entered to give a report. Noah, uninterested in business, wandered around the vast office. It was the first time he'd ever really looked at the space. He'd only ever been there to drag Ethan out for drinks or dinner. He realized the room was sterile and dark, the floor-to-ceiling windows completely obscured by heavy blackout curtains. The brightness in the room was entirely artificial. He frowned, thinking it couldn't be good for one's eyes or mood to never see the sun. As if reading his mind, Ethan, who had been listening to his assistant, looked over at him and asked what was wrong. Noah gestured with his chin toward the windows, remarking that the curtains were ugly and that being in a perpetually dark room could lead to depression. Without missing a beat, Ethan turned to his assistant. "Replace them." Both Noah and the assistant stared for a moment before the man stammered his agreement. Ethan's gaze returned to Noah, his eyes softening. "What else? See anything else you don't like? Help me out." The invitation was too good to pass up. Noah sauntered around the office, swinging his car keys. He suggested a fish tank to liven up the dead space. Ethan agreed. He declared the leather couch was too hard. Ethan ordered it changed. Noah, seeing the smile growing on Ethan's face, started making increasingly ridiculous suggestions. Ethan agreed to every single one, telling his assistant to have it done as soon as possible. After the assistant left, Ethan crossed the room. "You haven't been here in a long time," he said softly. He took Noah's wrist and led him to the massive desk, seating him in the leather CEO's chair. He explained that the new couch would arrive by noon, but Noah should sit here for now. Noah laughed, trying to stand. He insisted the old couch was fine, and besides, if he was in the chair, Ethan couldn't work. But Ethan's hand on his shoulder kept him seated. He held Noah's wrist, his thumb gently stroking the skin. "Noah, I'm so happy," he murmured. "I'm so happy you came to find me." The sincerity in his voice hit Noah with another wave of guilt. He had really neglected his friend. He had planned to just drop by, but now he found himself settling in, spending the rest of the day in Ethan's chair while Ethan worked from the uncomfortable old couch. His large frame hunched over a low coffee table. This became their new routine. For almost 2 weeks, Noah spent his days at Ethan's office, ostensibly to test a new game the company was developing. The office was transformed, filled with his snacks, gadgets, and general clutter, which Ethan refused to let anyone clean, insisting that Noah's comfort was paramount. In the evenings, he'd go back to Ethan's penthouse, where Ethan would cook for him and they'd play games on the collection of brand new consoles Ethan had bought to share his interests. The few times Noah went back to his own apartment, Ethan would somehow lure him back with a few quiet, persuasive words. It wasn't until he was lounging on the new, ridiculously comfortable couch in Ethan's office one afternoon that he realized he hadn't been out with anyone else in over half a month. The realization was startling. His days had become structured, his sleep schedule almost normal. It was bizarre. Friends and even their partners had been messaging him, wondering where he'd disappeared to. But every time he considered going out, Ethan would get a look on his face that screamed, "Are you abandoning me?" And he'd stay. One day, a message popped up in their group chat. "Liam broke up again. Drinks." The replies were predictable. Caleb working. Mason working. Jackson with the wife. Liam followed up, tagging Noah directly. Noah sat up, his eyes meeting Ethan's from across the room. Ethan was also on his phone and had clearly seen the message. He rarely spoke in the chat. Before Noah could reply, Ethan's voice, quiet and flat, filled the silence. "Are you going to go comfort Liam again?" The emphasis on the word again made Noah smile. He said he was, since he had nothing better to do. Ethan's lips thinned, and he looked down at his phone. A moment later, Noah's phone vibrated. A new message in the group. "Ethan, I'll come with you." The group chat exploded. Jackson, "Ethan Stone actually reads this chat?" Mason, "He's been hacked. Quick, let's bankrupt his company." Caleb, "It's the only logical explanation." Noah burst out laughing. He looked at Ethan, who shot him a dark look. Noah just grinned, shrugging as if to say, "Not my fault you're antisocial." Ethan frowned and typed another reply. "Ethan, no, I haven't. I'm going to comfort him." "Liam." I don't think that's a good idea. You'll probably make it worse. Jackson, when did you two get so close? Does Noah know about this? Mason, Ethan comforting someone. Stop being sad and get back to work. Noah was choking back laughter. Ethan's face grew stormier, as if they had hit the nail on the head. Noah walked over, took the phone from Ethan's hand, and set it aside. I'll go, he said, patting Ethan's shoulder. Don't worry. My heart will be with you. A small smile touched Ethan's lips. As Noah turned to leave, Ethan caught his hand. He looked up, his expression serious. Take me with you, he said, his voice low. I won't cause any trouble. Please? He said Noah's name, a soft plea. Something in Noah's stomach tightened. He found himself squeezing Ethan's hand. Okay. When they arrived, Liam was already several drinks in. The sight of Ethan standing behind Noah seemed to sober him up instantly. You really came, Liam said, his voice laced with disbelief. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Are you blind? Liam turned to Noah, complaining that Ethan's abrasive personality was only making him feel worse. Noah shot Ethan a look, reminding him of his promise. Ethan just nodded. The rest of the evening was a blur of Liam's dramatic sobs and Noah's attempts at consolation, punctuated by sips of his drink. He coached Liam through the breakup, analyzing the fight and giving him a step-by-step plan to win his girlfriend back. By the end of it, his throat was dry. He reached for his glass, but Ethan's hand stopped him, offering him a bottle of water instead. He told him he'd had enough to drink and that alcohol wouldn't quench his thirst. Distracted by Liam, who was clinging to his arm, Noah simply leaned forward and drank from the bottle Ethan held for him. When he looked up, Ethan was watching him intently, his gaze fixed on Noah's lips before meeting his eyes. He asked if he wanted more. Noah shook his head and grinned. Thanks, man. Ethan's thumb brushed across his mouth, wiping away a stray drop of water. Liam, now fully intoxicated, stumbled out of the bar, crying for his girlfriend. Noah, finding the whole scene hilarious, started to slide off his stool, calling after him that his girlfriend didn't want him anymore. This only made Liam cry harder. Just as Noah was about to deliver another witty remark, Ethan's hand clamped over his mouth. He sighed, his voice full of exasperated affection. Noah, you're drunk. It had been a while since he'd had this much to drink, but he hated admitting it. He struggled against Ethan's hand, insisting he could hold his liquor. All right, you're not drunk, Ethan conceded smoothly, steering him toward the exit while nudging Liam. Call someone to pick you up. Liam fumbled with his phone, then announced that his girlfriend was out of the service area. In the end, Ethan's assistant came to collect him. As they walked to Ethan's car, the cool night air cleared Noah's head slightly. He leaned against Ethan, feeling proud of his matchmaking advice. He told Ethan that if he ever fought with his future partner, he could come to him for analysis. He was a master of relationships. He stumbled, and Ethan's arm tightened around his waist, steadying him. Ethan looked down at him. In the dim light of the parking garage, Noah couldn't quite make out his expression, but he felt the hand on his back pull him closer. In the warmth of Ethan's embrace, just as his eyes were fluttering shut, a low voice murmured against his ear. Relationship master, did you ever figure out that I'm in love with you? The words tickled, and Noah laughed, rubbing his head against Ethan's shoulder. Of course, he slurred. Ethan went still, his breath catching. Noah looked up at him, grinning. If you didn't love me, you'd hate me. How else could we be best friends? Ethan's fingers gently cupped his face, tracing a line from his eye to the corner of his mouth. His voice was a bare whisper, almost a sigh. Noah, I'm in love with you. He took Noah's hand and brought it to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to his fingertips. This kind of love. Noah's alcohol-soaked brain couldn't process it. He just stared blankly as Ethan buried his face in his neck again, a short, self-deprecating laugh escaping him. I can only say this when you're drunk. His voice was muffled against Noah's skin. Will you hate me? Noah opened his mouth, wanting to say he wasn't as drunk as he seemed, but the words were stuck. Ethan's confession had left him more intoxicated than the gin. Please don't hate me, Noah. He lifted his head, his expression tender as he took Noah's hand, swaying it gently like he was placating a child. Let's go home? Noah felt like he was having an auditory hallucination. Even his own heartbeat was a deafening drum against his eardrums. He must be drunk. He let Ethan lead him home, let him help him change and wash up before tucking him into bed. In the darkness, he felt a warm, soft pressure on his forehead. Good night. The click of the door closing echoed in the silent room. Noah's eyes shot open. It wasn't the drink. It wasn't a hallucination. Staring at the dark ceiling, he wondered why his heart was still racing. He barely slept. When he woke up late the next morning, a message from Ethan was waiting for him. I ordered you lunch. Eat something and go back to sleep. The events of the previous night played back in his mind, sharp and clear. It was real. Ethan was in love with him. He picked at his food, his mind racing. Finally, he messaged Caleb, the most rational of their friends. Bro, need to talk.
Urgent.
He paused, then changed his initial suggestion of drinks to dinner. He didn't dare drink again. Caleb's reply was instantaneous. What's up? Noah typed quickly. Someone confessed to me. The second he hit send, his phone lit up with notifications, not from Caleb, but from the group chat. Jackson. Everyone, dinner tomorrow. Big news. Noah got a confession. Noah's blood ran cold. A message from Caleb came through a moment later. Sorry, that idiot was looking over my shoulder. The chat, which had been dormant for days, exploded with activity. Mason? People confess to Noah all the time. What's the big deal? Jackson. It's a big deal because he didn't reject them. He's asking Caleb for advice. Mason, whoa. Okay, this is a 5-alarm fire. Everyone has to be there. Noah felt his face flush with anger. He was about to give Jackson a piece of his mind when a new message appeared. Ethan, okay. What did he mean, okay? Noah gritted his teeth and typed into the group. Ethan is not allowed to come. That got their attention. Caleb asked the obvious question. Why can't Ethan come? Noah typed his reply, his thumbs jabbing at the screen. Because he's the one who confessed. The frantic scrolling came to an abrupt halt. A second later, a system notification appeared. Ethan has been removed from the group by the group owner. The next day, sitting in a private dining room, Noah looked at the concerned faces of his friends and their partners. What do I do? He asked, sighing. He had planned to just pretend he didn't remember, but now that was impossible. He'd fled Ethan's penthouse and had been ignoring his calls ever since. Caleb took a sip of wine. Do you like him? Noah buried his face in his hands. I don't know. Mason's wife, Melissa, gently patted his back. If you didn't like him, you would have rejected him on the spot, right? You've never hesitated before. Noah sighed again. But he's my best friend. A silence fell over the table. Melissa smiled. Is that what you're worried about? Just kiss him. Then you'll know. Everyone stared at her. She just shrugged. Caleb cleared his throat. Don't rush it. Your relationship has already changed. Can't go back to what it was. Just take your time. You'll figure it out. The others chimed in with support, promising to financially ruin Ethan if he ever hurt Noah and offering to find him a new, less complicated replacement best friend. Noah couldn't help but smile. As they left the restaurant, Noah stopped short. Leaning against his car down the street was Ethan. He saw them and a small, hopeful smile touched his lips. "I came to get you," he said. Before Noah could respond, his friends formed a protective wall around him. Jackson slung an arm over Noah's shoulder. "What, you think we can't give him a ride?" Ethan's gaze remained fixed on Noah, his expression pleading. He looked so pathetic that Noah felt a pang in his chest. No, he told himself, don't feel sorry for him. But he couldn't help it. He stepped away from his friends and walked over to Ethan. He shot a glare at Liam, who was still muttering insults under his breath. "That's enough. He drove you home last night." Caleb came out, took in the scene, and raised an eyebrow at Ethan's hangdog expression. "What happened to you? Go bankrupt?" Ethan ignored him, his eyes only on Noah. "Can we talk?" Noah's heart pounded. He looked down, avoiding that intense gaze, but nodded. He told Ethan he could drive him home. He could feel the exasperated stares of his friends on his back. Ethan didn't move. He called his name softly. "Noah, don't feel pressured." He stepped closer, leaning down to meet his gaze. "I'm sorry. I scared you last night. Don't be afraid, okay?" Noah's face felt hot. He could feel the heat in his own breath. Ethan's fingers gently circled his wrist. Noah finally managed to look up. "What if I say no?" Ethan's expression didn't change. He had clearly considered this. He said they would still be friends, that he would still look out for him, teach him about the business just like before. Noah's eyes narrowed. Was he smuggling a job offer into his romantic contingency plan? He accused Ethan of threatening him with work if he didn't agree to date him. For the first time, a genuine laugh escaped Ethan. "No," he said, stepping closer still. He rested his head on Noah's shoulder. "I'm just asking you not to hate me. Take your time, Noah. No pressure." The warmth of his hand felt like it was seeping directly into Noah's soul. He heard the thunder of his own heart and found himself closing his fingers around Ethan's. "Okay," he whispered. "I'll think about it." Ethan straightened up, his eyes shining with a relief so profound it seemed to bring his stoic face to life. "Thank you." After that night, Ethan didn't mention it again. Noah moved back to his own place and resumed his old life of sleeping in and going out at night. The only difference was that now, it was always Ethan who drove him home. One afternoon, when a friend invited him to a bar opening, he declined without thinking. He'd promised Ethan he'd cut back on drinking, and he couldn't bear the thought of the disappointed look on his face. But his friend was insistent, so Noah agreed to make a brief appearance. He had barely walked through the door of the new bar when his phone rang. It was Ethan. He stepped outside, hushing his friend. He told Ethan he was just out getting dinner, but his friend shouted from behind him, asking if he was done with his call so they could start drinking. Noah rushed to explain that he wasn't drinking, that he was just stopping by. There was a pause on the line before Ethan hummed in acknowledgement. Noah let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Then he wondered why he was being so secretive. Ethan's voice was flat. "Have fun, then." Just as Noah was about to agree, Ethan added, "I was going to ask you over for dinner. I got off work early and made a few of your favorite things." "It's fine. You have fun. I'll just eat by myself." The tone was neutral, but in his mind, Noah could perfectly picture Ethan, sitting alone in his vast, empty apartment, looking utterly dejected. "I'm on my way," he blurted out. A hint of laughter entered Ethan's voice. "Okay, I'll be waiting." It became a ritual. Every evening, Noah would end up at Ethan's for dinner. He started to get suspicious. "Did you go bankrupt?" he asked one night as they were clearing the table. Ethan paused. "Why would you say that?" Noah pointed out that he seemed to have an awful lot of free time to cook and play video games every single day. Ethan just smiled and took his hand. "I just want to spend more time with you." His dark eyes were mesmerizing. Noah opened his mouth to say something, but Ethan's gaze dropped to his lips. Suddenly, the room felt incredibly hot, and Noah's heart began to race. He pressed his lips together, and Ethan's eyes flicked back up to meet his, a knowing smile playing on his lips. Noah didn't know how he managed to leave, but the heat didn't leave his face until long after he was home. He stared at his flushed reflection in the mirror. Damn it. That weekend, his parents summoned him for lunch. Afterwards, he was lounging on the sofa, texting with Ethan, when his mother looked up from her own phone. "What are you doing for dinner?" Noah's fingers flew across the screen. "Noah, what's for dinner tonight?" A few moments later, Ethan replied, "I have a business dinner I can't get out of tonight. I'll be back late. Sorry, no time to cook." An idea sparked in Noah's mind. He typed back, "Okay, don't eat too much there. Save room for when you get back." He jumped up from the sofa and grabbed his keys. "I'm heading out," he announced. "Eating out tonight." His mother, who hadn't moved, just mumbled her assent. Noah drove to Ethan's, letting himself in with the fingerprint he'd had registered ages ago. He spent the afternoon in the kitchen, and by the end of it, he had produced 2 edible, if not particularly attractive, dishes. Bursting with a sense of accomplishment, he called Ethan. "When are you coming home?" he asked cheerfully. "Dinner's ready." Before Ethan could answer, a soft female voice came through the line, full of concern. "Mr. Stone, you've had a lot to drink. Let me help you." Noah's smile froze. "Who was that?" he asked, his voice light. There was a slight hesitation before Ethan's voice, now raspy, answered. "My assistant." Noah took a deep breath. "Don't bother coming home," he said, and hung up. Ethan called back immediately, but Noah rejected it. He paced the living room, his gaze falling on the food he'd made. A wave of anger and hurt washed over him. But he didn't understand it. Why was he so angry? Why did he feel so betrayed? It was just a concerned comment from an assistant, a 1-second hesitation from Ethan. It was as if Ethan had done something unforgivable. The firestorm in his chest died as quickly as it had ignited. He sat down at the table, staring at the cooling food, his mind blank. He heard the beep of the front door unlocking and looked up to see Ethan. His friend's eyes landed on his face, then on the meal set for 2. He froze, his throat working. "Noah." Noah just nodded, his own reaction sluggish. Ethan looked panicked. He took a few steps forward, and Noah saw that there was someone behind him. A man who looked vaguely familiar nodded at him. "Mr. Adams, good evening. I'm Mr. Stone's assistant, Mr. Davis." Noah remembered him from the office. Just as he was about to thank him for bringing Ethan home, Ethan spoke, his voice sharp. "Your ID, Mr. Davis," startled, pulled his company ID from his pocket. Noah's face flushed with embarrassment. He shot a furious glare at Ethan, who was watching his reaction intently. Noah cut him off before he could say more. "Mr. Davis, thank you for the ride." The assistant, sensing the tension, made a hasty exit. The moment the door closed, Ethan grabbed Noah's hand, leaning in close. "Noah, don't be angry." Noah said nothing. He was too nervous. Ethan's voice dropped lower, his thumb stroking anxiously over the back of Noah's hand. "I'm sorry I'm late." Noah nodded and pulled him over to the sofa. "Sit. I have something to say to you." He tried to move to the chair opposite, but Ethan wouldn't let go of his hand. Noah looked down at the raw panic in his friend's eyes and suddenly wanted to laugh. The tension drained out of him. He let his hand rest in Ethan's and took on a serious expression. "Ethan." Ethan sat up straighter. "I'm listening." Noah fought to keep a straight face. "I'm in love with you." Ethan's grip tightened, but his entire body went still. "What?" Noah squeezed his hand back, leaned in, and brushed his lips against the corner of Ethan's mouth. "This kind of love." He started to pull back, but an arm snaked around his waist, pulling him into a crushing hug. "Really?" Ethan's voice was muffled against his shoulder. Noah laughed. "Really?" Ethan pulled away, his eyes dark and intense. His thumb traced Noah's bottom lip. Noah watched his throat work, but then, to his utter disbelief, Ethan let him go. He stood up abruptly and strode toward the bathroom. Noah, stunned, called after him, "Of all the times to have to pee." Ethan paused at the door and looked back, his eyes burning with a dangerous light. "I'm gonna brush my teeth." He came out a minute later and, before Noah could say a word, his mouth was captured. Ethan's arms locked around him, trapping him against the sofa. The cool taste of mint explored his mouth, insistent and overwhelming. When Ethan finally pulled back for a breath, Noah pushed at his chest. "Wait, let's eat first." Ethan's lips found his again, peppering kisses across his mouth. I am